What is going on, y'all? It is your boy Knowledge. I'm going to be teaching you guys today the notary business plan that took me from 0 to 8K a month, right? And this video is going to be unlike the other ones. Usually I just talk about the notary industry as if you're a sole operator. But now I kind of want to talk to you and talk to individuals that are more so interested in the agency mindset, right? So if you're the type of individual that wants to go from just being a sole operator to own up your own signing services, owning up your own signing agencies or something like that, I kind of want to talk into that because that's one of the other things that I did outside of being a sole operator that allowed me to really scale my business up, take myself to the next level, and also allowed me to kind of, take a step back from being in the business and working in the business and transition over to where I'm working on the business more. So I kind of wanted to explain that to you guys. I don't talk much about that on this channel, but I will do it a little bit more to help those that are looking to get to the next level. So, right, the notary business plan that took me from 0 to 8K. See, now, one thing I want to explain to you guys is when you go from sole operator to business owner, you are able to get more revenue faster, because it's simply more scalable, right? So, for example, instead of going to the location yourself and doing a signing, and let's say you get $100, although you may be able to keep that $100, it took you like an hour, hour and a half to leave the house, do what you need to do, go there, notarize, and get back home, right? You got that $100 profit, but it took you an hour to an hour and a half. Now, when you become a sole operator, let's say you only keep $50 profit, but that was $50 profit with you doing what, 10 minutes of work. So although you might not get as much profit as fast out the gate, it allows you to have the ability to be a lot more scalable and make more money in a shorter period of time. But it takes more work, and it takes some money up front, depending on the individual and the type of strategies that you have. So I just wanted to make that clear to you, just because I think it's something important that you should know. So what did I kind of do? What the first thing I did was I stopped thinking like a worker, right? So stopped thinking like a worker. Don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a worker, but I understood back when I was doing my back when I was first starting up, I'm like, okay, these notary jobs are cool. I'm getting consistent income from it, and it's cool, but I want to get to the point where I can make as much money as possible. And this is something that I always say. Like, if you're around me, if you're around my friends, you know that Knowledge always says this. The goal is to make as much money possible doing as little work as possible. And in order to do that, you have to front load, which means you might have to do a crap ton of work up front. But if you do it correctly, if you do everything that you need to do correctly, it's a lot less work on the back end. Meaning that you put all your work in, all your hours in, you dedicate 2-3 years of your life doing a whole bunch of work, a whole bunch of systems, a whole bunch of planning. But then in the end, that next year, you probably don't have to work as much as at all. So it's a lot of front loading. So it's not really doing as little work as possible. It's kind of doing as much as you possibly can in the beginning so that you have the ability to do a lot less work down the line. So it's just another one of those instances where delayed gratification really shows itself. So circling back, I want to stop thinking like a worker, right? I want to be able to do as much work as possible, doing as little money as possible. In order for me to do that, I had to find a way to make money, one, online, two, without having to spend much of my time doing it, and then three, I didn't really want to leave the house. I'm like, okay, cool. I like doing these signings, but if you guys been doing as long as I have, and if you had as many customers as I had, you just get to the point where it's just like, okay, bro, can I make some money without me having to leave the house? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have the ability to work from the neck up, and doing that allowed me to do it. So I'm like, in order to stop thinking like a worker, I have to find out different strategies, different ways I can make money within the same industry, but it's gonna catapult me to another level. So first off, I was like, okay, cool. Next up after that, built demand before perfection. This is what I want to say: builds demand before perfection, and this comes with any business, right? Let me just type that down before. This becomes this is something that works for any business. You want to make sure whatever industry you're in, you have that demand, services that are needed. So this was kind of already obvious to me because I knew that there was a demand for notarizations, and once I was able to get a larger client base, I knew that I was able to be able to get revenue from those people. I just need to make sure that there was a demand for it, and I understood how to market to the masses so I can funnel them in to where I am so I can provide a service to them. So whatever business you're doing, you need to make sure there's a demand within whatever area you're on. So that may be your apostilles may be more demand in your area. Your G&Ws, your general notary work may be more in demand. Estate planning may be more in demand. I don't know. I don't know where you live. I don't know anything about you, but you have to know what's more in demand in your area. Are there people that need your services? If there are people that need your services, and there's a lot of them now, you might want to think of like, all right, maybe I need to be assigned an agency because there's a lot of people around me that need it, and I'm only one notary. I'm only one guy that can do this. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do 20 notary signings in a day when you don't have to leave your house. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot harder when you're just the individual doing all of them and you have to drive from location to location. So that's one thing you have to understand. You want to build demand before perfection. And even more so than building demand, you want to make sure that there is a demand, period. Next up, focused on volume and simplicity, right? So this is one of the quotes that I've got from Alex Hermosi. It says, actually, let me read it to y'all. Optimize for flow and then build friction later. I had to read it, just had to remember. Optimize for flow and then build friction later. And I try to think about that in every business that I go into. I try to make sure that when I'm building out this system, I want to make it as simple as possible, as straightforward as possible, and I make sure that it works. After it works, I can then go ahead to scaling on to add in different things into the system. So when people usually have businesses or they first start up, they want to have all the automations, they want to have all the systems, they want to have. You don't need that when you're first starting off. You just need to make sure that it works. Can you get the customer? Can you provide the service? Once you can do those two things, you're good to go. And then later down the line, when you start having more volume coming in, then you can add some things in. All right, now you can have the automations going there. All right, now you can have this Google review do this, and that. Now you can start adding different things in. But when I first started off, I was just bare bones simplicity. Like, what's going to work? What can get me customers as fast as possible? What can get me customers as cheap as possible? Once you do that, then you focus on, okay, how can I get volume? What are the things that can get the customers coming inside the door? You see what I'm saying? You work on the system, making sure that it's smooth as possible, and then you can worry about volume. The reason why I kind of like to work on the simplicity of the system first and then volume is because once you have that system and that framework and that skeleton intact, then it's easy to take volume and throw it at it. Because when you don't have a system and then you start sending a whole bunch of customers within whatever system you have, it fails, it crumbles. So that's why even me to this day, I'm always tweaking and perfecting my system because then it allows you to take on more volume without your foundations being shaky. So a lot of times when I'm coaching students, they want to be like, all right, so how can I get the customers? I'm like, bro, even if I were to send you 100 customers now, you wouldn't be able to handle it. If anything, you would fumble the bag and you would lose customers because your system sucks. Like you don't have anything set up to where when they come in, you know exactly how you're doing them, and you can duplicate and replicate that process many times. And you can step away from that process, give somebody else that your same process, and they can do it and duplicate it because you don't have anything set out, you don't have anything laid out. So hopefully that part makes out, right? So that's the next thing. Another thing is I was very like controlled of my time. I started thinking in terms of like, okay, cool. I started thinking of like, what's taking me the most amount of time, right? So, for example, let's say answering calls was taking me the most amount of time. I realized as a business owner, especially when I was transitioning into the signing service, that, okay, I need to find a way to outsource one of these jobs as fast as possible. And it was mostly the easiest way to do it is find out the job that takes you the most amount of energy when you're building up and outsource that to somebody else. Because a lot of people might think that they're not ready to hire, but what that allows you to do once you outsource it and you can replicate and teach them how to do the system the same way you can, you buy yourself back time to focus on other things. So if you're not the one answering the calls all day, now you have time to sit down and focus on different things within the business that can take you to the next level. But a lot of people think, and a lot of entrepreneurs do this, and it's something I had to learn and I'm always like snapping myself out of, is as an entrepreneur, when you're building your baby, aka your business, you think that, oh, nobody else can do it better than me, which a lot of times that may be true. But as an entrepreneur, and as I've learned, you're not looking for all the employees that you get to do better than you. You're just looking for them to get at 80% as good as you. If they can get 80% as good as you, go ahead and hire them and then work on something else. You're not always looking for 100%. And as a perfectionist, I can tell you, I did the same thing. Don't do that. But also, what you'll tend to find though, even though you're looking for someone that can only do it 80%, you'll often find that that person ends up being better than you at that job than you were at the job. Because if, for example, if you were running your business and you were answering the phone, which is a part of your business, you may think that you're the best person answering the phone, right? But if it's somebody else that's all they're doing is answering the phone all day, all day, all day, they're getting way more reps in than you, one. And then two, all they're focusing on is just answering the phones. So oftentimes, once you make the correct hire, those individuals actually start doing better than you. So that's a little pro tip that I learned as well. And then once I did that, I made sure that I had like a predictable pricing, right? Predictable pricing and income. So a lot of times I'm talking to notaries, they'll say like, "Oh yeah, I charge $1 a mile, and then I charge this a mile." You need to be very, very, very dead set on what your pricing is. If someone asks you, you should be able to say it off the dome, off the head, like this, especially when you're on the phone. Because I see a lot of notaries when I'm talking to them or I'm coaching them, they say, "Yeah, I do this $1 a mile, and then it's 50 cents, and then I have to calculate." So I'm like, when you're on the phone with them, when you're trying to explain all this complicated pricing to the customer, they're just like, "What the hell? Like, just give me the price, give me the answer." All the customers want to know is, can you do the job? Can you get there fast? How much it is? If you can answer those three questions efficiently and smoothly as possible, then you'll get the customer's business. And on top of that, you start to understand and you'll start to see like the income and the outflow of your cash. So then you can start predicting your income. So once you start doing it for a long enough time and you have like your set pricing, at that point you're then able to be like, okay, I charge this amount, and if I'm looking at a month's basis, I know that I usually make about this a month. That's how you start having predictable income. But when you have pricing that's all over the place, it makes it very hard. So these are kind of like the business plans or like the steps that kind of took me from 0 to 8,000 a month in my business. If you want some more detailed information on how do I do things exactly in my business, go ahead and book a call. I would love to walk you guys through that. I just want to give you like a little overview of like the little mindset shifts that I had to change in my mind to really take me to that next level. But anyways, hopefully you like this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Watch this video at the end also. If you found this helpful, make sure to join our free Notary Knowledge Academy. It's the #1 community for all notaries. And if you need one-on-one mentorship on how to grow your business from 3 to 8K plus in your notary business, all the links are down below. Go ahead and click that, and I'll see you guys on the inside.